Just like in any business, there's different levels of service, and detailing you can classify it as high-end detailing and volume type detailing. High-end detailing is when you kind of work on not so much the type of car that you work on, in my personal preference. So high-end detailing as far as spending your real time and attention on the detail work, right? So it doesn't have to be on a sports car, exotic car, high-end car. As long as it could be a basic Toyota Corolla or a Lambo Gallardo, but as long as you're doing the real detailed paint correction, if you're really getting between the cracks and crevices of the paint, if you're really maybe doing some wet sanding, that I believe in itself is high-end detailing and not so much on the car. Volume type detailing is where you're just turning over left and right as quick as possible, car after car after car, production detailing. And that's typically, kind of lesser quality. Well, it is lesser quality, not saying it's bad quality, but when you compare it to high-end detailing, where you're really, investing a good amount of time, energy, hours, attention, product and tools into high-end detailing, it is kind of, it is somewhat superior to results to production or volume type detailing, which isn't, there's nothing wrong with that, because I personally would prefer volume detailing compared to high-end detailing, and we'll get into those reasons why. So if you want to get into high-end detailing, there is quite a few nuances you have to be aware of. For one, it is a smaller market, so it's not, with interior detailing, not everyone, but it's kind of ideal to, once your car gets to a certain point, you're like, okay, yeah, it's kind of dirty. I definitely need to contact like a detailer, see, get prices, because, the leather seats are dirty, cloths are dirty, headliner, there's spills, drinks, smell, food, all that. They're like, okay, it's time to get my interior detailed. That's commonplace. For high-end detailing, it's not like someone looks at their paint as often, right? Because of course there's going to be those people that look at their paint and they're like, oh my god, I do need paint correction, I do need to remove these swirls and scratches. But for the most part, people don't look at their paint and say, okay, there's too many, there's too many imperfections, there's too many swirls, there's too many scratches, I need to get this removed. That doesn't typically happen as much as just interior cleaning, because obviously you're in the interior most of the time. You can obviously tell when it's dirty and when it's clean, because it's, for obvious reasons. So for one, the market is smaller for that. You're not gonna have hundreds of or dozens of calls coming in per week saying that they want the the most high-end packages that are really gonna give you a chance to showcase your ultimate work. That's definitely not gonna happen. Another reason with high-end detailing is you can kind of charge more, and that doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna make more by any means, because when you're doing high-end detailing, let's say just basic high-end detailing paint correction, and you're getting let's say 90% removal rate, that's gonna take a lot more product, a lot more tools, a bunch of different pads, more chemicals, more time and attention, and overall just a lot more of everything. So although yes, you can charge more because you're kind of, hopefully you can charge more, hopefully you're charging more if you're doing high-end detailing, because it does take a higher level of, again, detail and talent. But at the same time, you also have to factor in everything else that's included with cost. So as for instance, yes, you could probably charge $50-$75 an hour for high-end work, but at the same time, the cost of what it takes to achieve those results kind of also rises at the same time. It doesn't necessarily mean it, just because you're going to charge more or you want to do high-end work, you have to use a lot more chemicals or products. But ideally, it does have somewhat of a correlation between high-end detailing and then the type of products and tools that you use. The next is, it does get a bit more complex. So for production detailing, volume detailing, let's say you're turning over, washes and interior cleanings, you can have a real good systemized process, very few basic tools, and kind of get the rhythm of things. With high-end detailing, you do kind of, and not to say that you make it so much where it's a headache every single time, but again, it does add that layer of complexity that you really have to have an eye for what you're doing, because the level of results that the customer wants must be matched with obviously the level of work that you do, because you can't have that production mentality, or even I'm only gonna do this halfway mentality when the customer is really asking for maybe even close to they might be taking the car to a car show. So obviously your level of detail has to match that level of expectation that the customer wants. So if you do want to get into high-end detailing, which I personally don't, but if you do want to get to high-end detailing, there's a few things that you could do that's then kind of get you in that right segment to attract those type of customers. So I'm gonna go with the theme of that this person that you want to go with car guys or car gals, right? That they're, you know, because those for the most part are going to be kind of more inclined or more are going to kind of be more common with getting the car detailed and really paying that extra dollar for top-notch quality and to get their paint to the next level. So for me personally, this theme is going to be talking about car people. People that, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean they have to have a high-end car or a sports car all modded out. Just, you know, basically a car that they enjoy, that they like, and that they're, you know, that they're enthusiastic about their car. Doesn't necessarily mean they have to be a car enthusiast and they're like this, you know, crazy car head that throws, you know, money left and right to their car. But how I would do it is you want to kind of identify where they kind of hang out, right? So identify who is your ideal target market for this type of high-end detailing that you want to do. So I just said that it's going to be, you know, kind of car people. That's going to be your ideal target market. Now you want to kind of think about where these people hang out, what kind of car shows do they go to, do they have a lot of car meets? Because if you can kind of just know, if, you know, obviously you can't go look and try to find fish in the wrong pond, or the right type of fish for you in the wrong pond. You have to go where they're at. So if they go to a certain meet, like for instance, there's this thing called Cars and Coffee, and that's once a month. The details don't matter, but there's this thing where just nothing behind cars go over there, and you can talk to a lot of people. You know, maybe even introduce yourself to a lot of people. Because you want to kind of get to know the type of, you want people to kind of know who you are in that type of market, because it's so small, it's kind of easier to get your name out because the market is so small for those types of services. So you want to, another good thing you can do is if you know someone, so let's say you have a friend, coworker, whatever it may be, someone that you know that's in a team, like a car team, because that's a thing if you didn't know. But you know, there's teams out there that go to car shows or go to car meetings, go race cars, hopefully at the track, not on the street. And you know, they'll have, you know, obviously people hang around people that are kind of common with themselves. So if you have your brother, your friend, your whoever it may be that's into cars, they have a nice car, it's probably most likely that they also hang out with a lot of guys and gals that also have nice cars. So if you can kind of just start hanging out with them, meeting their friends, introducing yourself to them, joining their Facebook group, because I'm sure car teams have Facebook groups, and kind of just start interacting with those people online and offline, you can start building relationships, and eventually someone's going to want to ask about some details, and you're going to be the guy, because it happens a lot. And then another thing is forums. So let's say you let's say you go to whatever let's say there's a specific car make, so let's say it's a Porsche forum, and then you can go to the geo subtopic. So let's say you're in Dallas, so you go to the Dallas. This is a made up one, but if there's a Dallas section in the Porsche forum, you can kind of just surf the webs there, kind of post comments here and there, and then just kind of, you know, let people know who you are in that subsection of Porsches, because obviously, you know, everyone there's gonna have a Porsche, and everyone there lives in Dallas, and you can live in Dallas, and that's just kind of building a relationship with them. And then what else do we have here? But the number one thing I would say is that if you can find, again, if you know someone that has a nice car, it's most likely they have friends or know people that also have nice cars. They probably go to car shows, car meets, or just meetups. If you can kind of nudge your foot in there with free work, and I know a lot of people don't like free work. I'm a fan of free work when done appropriately, but if you can do some free work, let's say for an ideal situation, a real ideal situation, you had a good friend of yours that was in a car club with a bunch of nice cars, right? For anything from like a, you know, whatever it may be, they're in a nice car club. If you could get your foot in by doing some really good free work for your friend, and have your friend kind of introduce your work, not you, but your work, and, you know, this amazing details that you did to their friends. And obviously you need to know that their friends do have money, and that they're, you know, car enthusiasts, and that they're willing to spend a nice dollar on their car, and they probably have their car modded and all that. Then if you can have your friend introduce your work to their friends, and your friends are avid car enthusiasts or like cars, and they're like, wow, this is really nice, I like it looks like you got a new paint job, yada yada, then just naturally they're gonna ask you who did the work, how much did they charge, and could they possibly do yours. And again, you want to have that that small flywheel effect. So in the beginning, it's gonna take a while. It's gonna take a while for them to know your name. You may have to do a bit of free work here and there, but as that flywheel is turning slowly, after a while, after a few months, after a few weeks, as you're turning it and turning it, it's gonna keep on picking up and picking up, and more people are gonna know you, more people are gonna ask for your services, more people are gonna get work done for you, and then it's gonna have the compound effect of the next person's gonna ask, where did you get that work done? It's really good. I have a car show coming up. That's what you wanted to go for. So in conclusion, let's wrap it up. And if there are certain car shows or meetups, obviously specifically for cars, then you want to kind of be in that realm of people, so you can kind of just get to know people, talk to them, and kind of create relationships. If you have someone that you know that can kind of introduce you to a car club, if you can get your foot in the door with them, if you can perhaps even sponsor the team, that's a real biggie. And for the most part, it doesn't really cost that much because they're not really big organizations or anything. So a few dollars here and there, they'd probably be more than willing to let you sponsor their car club. So if you know someone that you can kind of get you in there with sponsorship, or maybe just you can do free work for them, or obviously they can pay you, and then let them introduce your work to them. All great ways to get into high-end detailing. Hope this video helps. I personally am not a fan of big high-end detailing. I like keeping, for the most part, I always do interior cleanings. That's just what I do. I'm a fan of it. No biggie. But if you have any comments, any more questions, you can leave a comment down below. Send me an email at detailgroove@gmail.com, and I can help you out with whatever you need help with. I'm here to help. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.